MAGA is dead. Finally. I'm calling it. Mark down 2026 as the time of death. You know, from Reagan, who started it, to Clinton, yes, that Bill Clinton, to Trump, the slogan and the promise, "Make America Great Again," has always been a scam, a fraud on the American people. And I think we all see that now. Maybe not everybody's quite ready to admit it yet, but we know. So, now it's mama time. Make America Marxist again. Huh? Why would I say that? Isn't Marxism a thoroughly discredited, even a deranged ideology that causes economic devastation and poverty wherever it takes root? In point of fact, no. That's a lie, that's a misconception, that's propaganda, that's ignorance, all of the above. Your first clue to the contrary should be China, which has a Marxist economy. And as such, their economy is the single greatest economy in human history. The most innovative, the most productive, the most powerful. Get this, China has lifted out of poverty hundreds of millions of people more than the entire population of the United States at present. Economists, all consider China to be an economic miracle. But it isn't a miracle, it's just Marxism. And it's time for America, the United States, to build our own unique American flavor of Marxism, because each country gets to have its own Marxism. Just like China has been doing Marxism immeasurably better than the Soviet Union, which frankly betrayed the principles of Marxism in a lot of ways, especially towards the end, towards the collapse. Just like China has done Marxism a lot better than the Soviet Union, we in America can do Marxism a hell of a lot better than China. You know, I'm no fan of the CCP. I hate their authoritarianism. I hate their human rights abuses, among other things. But Marxism isn't about that kind of stuff. We already have authoritarianism here in the United States right now, and we have capitalism. We already have pretty much central planning of the economy and extreme concentrations of power in very few hands. You know, the Epstein class. Don't know if you've ever heard of them. Proper Marxism doesn't like that stuff. Proper Marxism says you should have decentralization of power, that you should have liberty. People should be free. So we can definitely do Marxism better than China. Now, what is Marxism then? If it isn't this deranged, discredited ideology, what is it? You know, I'm sitting here in central Iowa, watching storms brewing up all around me in a rather favorable atmospheric environment for tornado genesis. See, I've been learning storm chasing kind of as a hobby, for fun. It's my form of entertainment lately, for probably over a year now. And I'm just doing armchair storm chasing. Someday I'd like to go out there and actually take this car on the road, probably a better car, and do storm chasing for real. But I'm learning right now. And as I've been learning storm chasing, as well as at the same time learning about Marxism, I was a math major in college. I studied a lot of economics as well. Actually got a minor in the subject, but that's a minor detail. I studied a lot of economics at a major research university under real economists. And they don't teach you about Marxism. They don't tell you, they don't even mention Karl Marx. PhD economists who've gotten multiple graduate degrees have never been taught Marxism or Karl Marx, or any of the economists who came after Karl Marx, who was an economist, among other things. He's probably one of the most influential economists ever in human history, and in the United States, you don't talk about him. So what is Marxism? What was Karl Marx all about? To put it simply, although it isn't exactly simple, Marxism is economic meteorology and economic storm chasing. It really is. That's the best analogy that I can think of to explain what Marxism is and what a Marxian approach to economics is. And just like storm chasers and meteorologists analyze the atmosphere looking for danger. And they tell us that storms out there, like the storms that are brewing right above my head right now, going to drop tornadoes. Like it's not a good day to be outside in Iowa or to have your car unsheltered. Storms have to, in order to get stronger, in order to intensify, in order to produce more output like wind, rain, hail, lightning, storms have to develop this violent cyclonic rotation, mesocyclonic rotation. They have to become a violent vortex. And they have to produce excessive rain that causes floods. They have to produce outputs that nobody really wants, like hail, like lightning. They have to produce excessive winds that cause all kinds of damage. It is the nature of the storm to do these things. You can have your gentle storm that just rains, maybe has a stray lightning bolt here and there, but for storms to really get to cranking, they have to really get to cranking, and that's violent. That's dangerous, that's harmful, it wreaks havoc, especially when it plows into a community. And a Marxian analysis of the economy and a Marxian approach to economics understands that capitalist firms, capitalist enterprises, businesses, whatever you want to call them, for-profit businesses, under capitalist economic conditions, they are economic storms. Literally, it's the same kind of dynamics that a capitalist business firm engages in that a storm engages in. And it's kind of unthinking. It's kind of stupid. Like, just produce more output, even if people don't need it, even if it's harmful output. Crank out as much profit as we can, intensify, get stronger, suck in as much atmospheric energy as we can from all around. In the case of the economy, the economic atmosphere, the energy is us, among other resources, right? Human resources. A capitalist firm has to really get to just sucking in everything that it can. And it's got that violent cranking, that violent rotation. That's how it works. That's the nature of a capitalist business firm. And the more powerful firms become, the more dangerous, the more destructive, the more violent they become. That's how capitalism is designed to work. The strongest businesses are economic tornadoes. Absolutely, without question, that's probably the best analogy for them. I don't know if anybody's ever used that analogy before, but there it is. And of course, the most sprawling firms are like economic hurricanes. So that's Marxism in a nutshell. It is an approach to economics that faces reality about how capitalism actually has pros and cons. You know, storm chasers love tornadoes. That's why I would love to do some storm chasing someday. Tornadoes are awesome. Tornadoes are cool. You can make a living chasing tornadoes. But imagine if storm chasers and meteorologists were just out there like pointing us to how cool and awesome tornadoes can be. But they weren't telling us about how a tornado can easily kill you. How it can destroy entire communities. How it can... I don't even know. Tornadoes are pretty destructive. Imagine if they were just telling us to enjoy the tornadoes and even to throw ourselves at the tornadoes. Don't take shelter from them. Just get sucked into them. They weren't warning us. That would be absurd, wouldn't it? Well, Karl Marx and the economists and political theorists who come after him, there's many of them to this day. Check out the link. They understand that capitalism has its pros and cons, that capitalism can be very dangerous and very destructive, that it is, by nature, dangerous and destructive and harmful. And they have shown us that we can do better than that. China is living proof. And we can do better than China. Make America Marxist again.